It's 1960 and the Nazis have taken over the world. Once beautiful cities have been transformed into oppressive urban landscapes, patrolled by Nazi troops, mechs, and robotic guard dogs. This is the world of Wolfenstein: The New Order, a world where resistance seems futile. But there's one man who's up to the task, William B.J. Blaskovich. The same Blaskovich who shot a lot of Nazis and took down Mecha Hitler in 1992's Wolfenstein 3D. The first few hours of the New Order take place in 1946. Blaskovich spearheads a last-ditch assault on the new fortress headquarters of the Third Reich. But the operation goes awry, and Blaskovich takes a piece of shrapnel to the head. He spends the next 14 years as a vegetable recovering in a Polish mental institution. Now, this isn't just a convenient plot device to bring the majority of the game's action into the Nazi-controlled world of 1960. The Blaskovich that emerges is still a blunt instrument.
Nazi scum.
He's got no dark past and he doesn't suffer from any inner turmoil. He's just a man who, as a side character excitedly exclaims, was born to kill Nazis.
You were born to kill Nazis, you know that.
As much as the New Order's plot is about Blaskovich rebelling against the Nazis' iron grip on the entire planet, it's also about the friction created when the original first-person shooter protagonist drops into a first-person shooter designed for 2014. He is a lens through which you see how the nature of first-person shooters has changed since his first appearance, and how the world has left Blaskovich and his intentional lack of nuance behind.
He's on our side. Used to be a Nazi, but not anymore.
In combat, Blaskovich even functions like his old self. He needs health and armor pickups to stay alive, and he can carry all of his guns at the same time. This immediately allows for a wider range of options in any particular combat situation than a shooter with a weapon carry limit would offer. Those guns are big and loud and really satisfying to shoot, and most of the weapons can be dual-wielded, which works really well because you don't actually lose any accuracy by not aiming down the sights. This lends combat a sense of finesse, despite its fast pace. The enemy AI isn't all that complex, but it still works in the context of this kind of shooter. Instead, larger enemies like Nazi robots add variety to combat through their increased threat and the fact that different tactics are required to take them down. And all the while, the combat feedback is dialed to 11. Levels flow back and forth really nicely through tight corridors and wide open arenas. Though enemy numbers in those levels never reach the excess of, say, Doom or Serious Sam-like hordes, there is enough variety in the combat spaces and the enemy combinations within that the New Order's levels feel well-paced, and combat feels tense without being unmanageable or overwhelming. Some rudimentary yet functional stealth mechanics allow the New Order to craft entire levels where Blaskovich is armed with nothing but a knife. These quiet, tense sections add variety to the game's pacing. The presence of Nazi commanders, who can call in reinforcements if they detect you, create a hierarchy of high-value targets in a single room. It's rewarding to feel like you're stealthily stalking them, taking them out silently, and then you're free to pull out the big guns and clear an area in the most efficient manner possible. With these mechanics, along with some interesting mission locations and stellar environmental design, the New Order offers a wide variety of combat experiences. Blaskovich can unlock both stealth and combat perks, but the tasks required to do so, like stealth killing a certain number of Nazis, are mostly actions that you perform naturally over time. The perks themselves provide only subtle effects, like slightly extra ammo, so you'd be forgiven for forgetting that the system exists at all. Weapon upgrades, which are found throughout the game's levels, offer more tangible benefits like additional tactical avenues. Assault rifles can be upgraded to fire underslung rockets, and shotguns can be made to fire shells that bounce off walls, effectively turning them into Unreal Tournament's flak cannon. You also need to make use of a laser cutter, but it's mostly relegated to cutting Blaskovich-sized holes in the only pieces of metal grating that are blocking your forward progress in the first place. Both this laser cutter and the perk system feel like missed opportunities at worst. Even aside from them, the New Order's combat intensity and variety has granted the Wolfenstein series a breath of fresh air, whilst still managing to hit the nostalgic highs that I expect from the series. The game has even injected some substance into the primal pleasure of shooting Nazis, by way of an interesting tone that addresses the changing roles of first-person shooter protagonists.
Fuck, I just... I don't know, Captain. Par for the course, innit? Mayhem and destruction like what you always do. It's just you doing you.
Through this, the game is both a celebration of, and what feels like a fitting send-off for, the Wolfenstein series as a whole. The New Order could be the last hurrah of William B.J. Blaskovich, an outing which, for all its success and bombast, is far from mindless.